What's up, fam? It's your boy Norman Utlapo, and welcome to The Journey, hosted right here in The Inspiration, brought to you by 3RC. Now, this series is all about the process, the behind the scenes action, and the grind of it all. This is for the people that know that they're going to make it in life, but are just working on the how. Each week, I sit down with prominent people in different careers and I ask them about their journeys. And this is where the people understand that the journey wasn't all about being perfect. It just had to be real. And that's how they measured their progress. So this week, for the first episode ever, please allow me to welcome one of the coolest doctors in Salsa. Some people know him as a sneakerhead. Some people know him as the creative, as the one that is always running and looking good in sunscreen. I'm talking about Dr. Donny Fick. And the conversation that we had about his journey was actually too amazing. Have a look.
So my name is Donny Fick, and I'm a general practitioner in Melville, Johannesburg. So it's a short version for Donald. So I'd like to believe that I was named after the duck, right? Not the cricket player, or I feel like there's someone else that's dragging that name through the mud at the moment. We're going to talk about who it is. We're not going to talk about who it is. We'll focus. I was named after a duck who doesn't wear pants. So it's a lime green stethoscope, which happens to be one of my favorite colors as well. So a stethoscope is very important in the job that I do as a general practitioner, listening to lungs, heart sounds. But I think the important part of being a doctor or being a general practitioner is like listening to the stories of people as well. I think that's what makes this job fulfilling. But I think it also helps make good diagnoses and help patients feel comfortable. I love color. And as you get older, you feel more comfortable in your own skin, as they always say. So the comfort to be able to express yourself. I think when I started here 15 years ago, I used to wear gray and navy blue suits and ties. And over time, you realize that is not you. And then you start going into something more comfortable that allows you to express yourself. So bright colors is what I do. Like when I saw that they start making like tubing for stethoscopes that aren't like maroon, navy blue, or black, I got very excited. Wow. I think I was in high school, right? I think that would be the moment when you like, you always think about what you want to do when you get older. And then you start doing well at school and you're like, I now have the marks that allow me to do that. And then I think when I got accepted into university, I think that was a big deal. Like, because now you're like, and it's apparently, and lots of people say this even now, that it's difficult to get into med school. So I think that was the moment that changed that, and you realize that's such a big opportunity that you couldn't let it slide. Was it easy the next 6, 10 years that came afterwards? Definitely not. I think that was the most exciting moment when you got in, and then the shine and the honeymoon wears off very quickly. Like, and then it's hard work and grind and more grind, and it's 6 years of study and 2 years of internship, then community service. And you think once you get to that point, it gets easier, but it doesn't. And I think it always comes with more and more challenges as well. I think it was the other way around. I think it was more like this is what I wanted to do. I think back I was at school and it was still like standard 7, 8, 9 matric. You kind of knew this is what you wanted to do, and this is what was required. So you put in the work to get that done. Free time and happiness. I think when you're younger, success is defined by the car you drive, the house you live in, all these material possessions. As I've gotten older, if you just have free time to do the things you enjoy, I think that's the version of success. Like, and I think you have to like people often say they don't have time, and I think that's not necessarily always the truth. I think you need to make time for the things that are important, and you need to prioritize your life, whether that's friends, family, exercise, or just downtime. You can prioritize this, but I think society dictates that you need to be working all the time to achieve certain materialistic goals, which I don't think is a good idea. I feel like no one told you how hard it was going to be. Like, and I think no one ever sits down, and maybe this is why these things are so important now, getting slightly older people to talk about how challenging it is. I think if you're more prepared for it and you know what to expect, it might be easier. But yeah, it felt very soul destroying. Like, especially like, I think it was one thing at school when you would study hard and you knew that if you put in X amount of work, you'd be, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but you'd almost be sure of getting a certain mark. At university, it wasn't like that. You'd put in all the work and they'd ask you curveball exam questions. And you're like, I remember failing a lot initially in the first 2 years and then having to do like rewrites, and you had to almost modify how you studied and how you approached academics. So that was very soul destroying. You put in all this hard work and you get 33%, whereas a year ago in matric, you're putting in half that work and getting 85%. And I think that was the part that was different. Not many people know this, right? Like in my 5th year, I failed my surgical exam, the oral part. So what happened was like you failed it, and then the graduation was the next day, I think. So you had to come back, and push the failure aside and then come back for the re-exam the very next morning because it was an oral, so they just did another one. But yeah, that I never forget feeling that was the most stressful day of my life because my parents were already like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to your graduation tomorrow." I'm like, "I don't know, hey, like there's still a lot of pressure." Like it's like, but it worked out in the end. But these things happen, like, and I think failure is part of the journey. I think looking back now, you remember the times that you failed and what you learned from it instead of the times that you did well. Might not mean anything to anyone. Like they put up a chest X-ray in a surgical exam, so surgery's got a lot to do with abdomen. I was like, why are they doing this? Right? Like, why do they want me to talk about lungs when something was it was so far related from that? And like, there's a condition if you have a perforated peptic ulcer, there's a little bit of air under the diaphragm. So I was so focused on the colon and thinking that's what the exam was about that I forgot to look a little bit higher at the air, and there was like the curveball question, and that taught me to always be more observant. Like the devil's in the detail. So not maybe the thing that's you're looking for the most that's glaring in front of you, but always look for the little things that could be a curveball. So that was the big lesson that I learned years later, looking back. Everywhere, I guess, like you can't do it by yourself, right? Like you can't climb any mountain alone. You can't do this version of success. You can never get there by yourself. So when I watch all these things on social media these days, or hear people talk about you just need to dig deep by yourself, you have the power that it takes to shape your dreams. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think there's a lot of external variables that you need to lean on in order to become successful. You can never do it by yourself, and I think that's it. You'll never walk alone means if you're going to go far, you have to take the right people with you. Their faces are scattered all over this office, right? There's a story behind every single photo here. Like some of the people that are still in my corner today were the same people that were in the corner in 1999. So I've been really blessed and fortunate that it's the same people. Their faces are represented in little bits and pieces in this office. So yeah, it's important to keep the same people around you if you can, if that allows. Crazy, right? Like I think because I don't have kids, maybe this is what opens up this door of opportunity that you have a little bit of extra money around instead of paying for school fees. So when people go like, "You have sneakers," I was like, "Don't have to pay school fees at least, right?" So it is something that I do enjoy. And I think it's also important to have hobbies that de-stress you and like a place, whether that doesn't have to be a geographical place, whether it's sneakers or watching sneaker blogs on YouTube and just being caught up in the culture is something that I really enjoy. I'm so grateful that I have a job where I can wear sneakers and I'm not dictated to buy a dress code or a uniform. And it's just, yeah, it's just something that I really enjoy. It's like an art form. And I think self expression is an art form as well. I think right now, I think the favorite pair of sneakers I have are the Jordan 4 Nigel Sylvesters. But it's the storytelling behind that that I quite like that of where he comes from. That it's like from his grandmother's driveway and how she took care of him as a young kid to his great success years later, which is a homage to what he does. The ones that I actually have on quite now, I quite enjoy. I don't know if people know Sean Witherspoon and his deep dive into like vintage, trying to bring older things back so that you don't consume so much and like exactly like vintage things back. And I think that speaks to like conservation and looking after the planet a lot and sustainability. What would be the third one? I mean, my favorite pair of shoes of all time would be the Air Force One linens. I wear them a lot. I'd like to believe that I still am the same person. And I think I'll never forget when I was in high school, like I was fortunate enough to become a prefect and the lady that was the head of the prefects at the time, and this has stuck with me for 30 years. I don't even think she's alive anymore, said, "You are more than this badge that we're giving you. This prefect badge means nothing. The only way you can get far in life is your integrity. Badges, titles, anything you put behind your name means nothing if you don't have personal integrity." And that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned growing up, that integrity means more than any title. So if you stay true to who you are, you don't need the titles, right? You don't need the things behind your name. Sure. Being in relationships, I think, and I think as a GP, like you have a lot of relationships with humans as well. That's hard. Like maintaining relationships, maintaining healthy boundaries, knowing when to say yes. The thing I struggle with as well is like when to say no, because I say yes to most things, and balancing that out in relationship. And I think humans are made for relationships, so that's the part I still struggle with. Is like how to set healthy boundaries, and I'm not there yet. Don't do things for others, do them for yourself. Don't buy things or get yourself into debt or make bad financial decisions to impress other people. Enjoy your money. I'm one of those people that don't believe that you shouldn't. I think you should have fun, enjoy it with your friends and your family, but don't do it as a flex. Don't do it to. And I think we live in a culture a lot now where everyone has to flex certain things on Instagram. Don't do it for that. I once bought a Mini Cooper Cabriolet. This was like in the mid 2000s. I don't know why I did that. Like still today, when people go, "What was it like?" wasting your money on cars, but it's also part of growing up, right? Like in your 20s, like that's the one thing looking back, I was like, why did we do that? All those years of studying, and I think I even forget that like it took 10 years in academics and then building a career. Because I suppose once you get the piece of paper to say you're a doctor, you're still going to have to open up a practice, build a career for yourself, build a name for yourself. It takes a long time. Don't listen to what other people say. I think that would be the most important thing. Don't listen to what other people say. And particularly don't take the criticism from people that don't have your good intentions at heart. Lots of people will criticize you along the way. Keep the circle tight so that those that do criticize you take it on board. And I take that a lot from my inner circle of friends, but there's going to be a lot of negativity. Don't let that get to you. And I think this comes back to what I said earlier. If you're true and authentic to yourself, you'll find the right people. They will gravitate and navigate themselves towards you. If you're not trying to put on a facade or try and be someone that you're not, I think that's when you end up in the wrong friendship circles and you get burnt. But I think if you stay true to who you are, and I think knowing who you are in Matrix is always a very difficult thing, but having a sense of identity and a sense of awareness will definitely help, and then you'll meet the right people along the way. Life kind of like it's an energy, like what you give to it comes back to you. So if you project a certain personality and friendliness to the world, that will come back in a good way to you as well. Tenacity. 100%. I often have this conversation with my friends. I was like, it takes a little bit of talent, but I think talent can also make you lazy because when you are talented, maybe you don't feel like you have to work that hard to get something. It's the tenacity. And resilience is a good word that links with that as well. It's the resilience to, because life's always going to have setbacks. Like even if you're talented, even if you have all the right cards, you'll still face the setbacks. But if you don't have the resilience or the tenacity to deal with the setbacks, you'll never make it. Can I swear? I was like, I think that's bullshit. Like, I think that doesn't exist. Like, if you're passionate about it, you still have to work every single day. If you look at people that are really good at what they do, and I'll take Lewis Hamilton, like at the Monte Carlo Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago and at Imola, he was the first person to arrive at the track, doing all the preparation, doing all of the warm ups. He's won more world titles than anyone else. He's still passionate about it, but he still works harder than anyone else in the room. So it's not just the passion, it's the hard work. So passion is also like a very airy fairy word, right? Because you're never going to feel passionate about what you do every single day. And I think that's like a part of the world that we need to debunk as well. There's days I dislike my job. There's days I feel exhausted, burnt out, and tired. And that passion's not there. And it's back to what we said earlier about the resilience, the tenacity. And then when you do something for long enough, you have to reinvent that passion. It might not be in the same places. It might be in the same area, but not necessarily in the same places. So it's always about rediscovering passion within the same field. That storms don't last forever. That those bad patches, like whether you feel demotivated for a week or 2 weeks, I realized that if you just stick it out long enough, you'll find it again. Life works in circles. Like bad things don't go on forever, and bad times don't last forever as well. So it's just about sticking it out, knuckling down, and getting through it. It's not a race. It's your own journey, right? Like if you feel lots of people come into this office as students because we're quite close to a university and say, I'm a year behind my peers or my friends. You're not. Like life can be short, but life can be long as well. So start whenever you're ready, take it in your own stride, and it is your journey. It's not anyone else's journey. And do it at your own pace. Don't burn yourself out. I often think like what we consume on the internet is like kind of like what we consume dietary wise. If you're just taking in junk food all the time, it's not going to make your body healthy. And the same for social media. If you're just going to consume all this social media noises, your mentality is not going to be good as well. Always circle back to your own journey, what's important to you. Look at all those people that have millions and clap for them, but that's not necessarily your story. That's most probably not your destiny, and that's not your version of success either. I don't think success is a monetary value. I think happiness and free time. Mine that it's and maybe this speaks to for a lot of people as well, but specifically for me, it's always going to be harder than it is easier, and I think it's always going to have more uphills than they are going to have downhills. But we always celebrate when you think I run a lot, so you always be happy at the top of a hill once you've conquered it, then you're at the bottom of a downhill. So I always say, even though life has more uphills, it's when you get to celebrate it a little bit more. So never discount the uphills and never not embrace it because that's part of the journey. It's gotta be hard. Enjoy your youth. Like enjoy it, make the most of it, but also focus a little bit on the future.
Where can we catch you on the socials?
At Donny Ducky. It's a long, complicated thing. We'll have another answer, another interview as to how we got to that name.
Okay. Thank you so much, Donny. Really appreciate
My
your time.
pleasure and happy Youth Day.
Just like that, I'd like to say a big thank you to Dr. Donald Fick. Listen, he touched on so many beautiful points. I wouldn't even know where to start. But the main ones that I'm going to quickly touch on before I let you guys go is your friendship group and who you keep around you will determine a lot about you. If you're sticking with people that don't take their life seriously, that don't take themselves seriously, that aren't trying to go far in life, then it will reflect to you. Not to say that that's the company and that's the same trajectory your life will have. But remember, if you, like he said, the stuff that we put in, the content that we consume, if you're only putting in junk into your body and if you only hang around junk, you're gonna end up, either smelling or rotting or being like them. But if you start looking for circles whereby you belong, you're appreciated, you're supported, those right circles that he was talking about, those right people that he was talking about. I think for me, I went through so much where I was really trying to learn and find myself. And everybody's journey is different. And I want you to know that it's okay to be that toxic friend if that is you. But what you need to realize is that you need to make a change. And it's also okay to be that friend that was taken advantage of. But you also now need to start making that change to say, okay, where do I see myself in 5 years? And are the people that I'm currently with right now, are they going to help me get there? And if the answer is no, I think it's very clear that, those are the decisions you have to make. And that's what adulting has been. I think on a personal note, I cut out friendships that I never thought I could ever cut out because those were my brothers, and I still love them to this day. But I understood that had we not been cut out of each other's life, I don't know what he's doing right now, but we probably would have never succeeded or reached these levels of success that we're currently on now. And we're still nowhere we want to be because I remember when we used to dream about what we wanted in life. It was that's what I appreciated in my situation. Yes, at the end it got bad, but what I appreciated is that we were both dreamers. And yes, our friendship ended, but who we were, that stayed. And I've just continued my journey solo, and so has he. And what I'm basically telling you is you're going to go through life. You're going to have good friends. You're going to have bad friends. You're going to have friendships where you also played the bad side. You understand? And in life, if I'm taking anything from what Donny was saying, is that you appreciate those moments and you learn from them so that they don't happen again. And then each time you keep doing better. So if certain friendships aren't working, the mature thing to do is to agree and say, hey, bro, it's not working. And sometimes it doesn't happen as a conversation. Sometimes it turns out and you guys hate each other for like a whole year and a bit. But the maturity side, once you realize, once things start picking up, you start seeing that that was meant to happen. God works in mysterious ways. And if you're not a believer like that, that's also okay. But just understand that the world works in mysterious ways, in ways that you would never believe. So, like Dr. Fick said, he said so many things that I agree with. Like he said, the energy you put into this world is the energy you get back. So, hey, man, I don't want to talk too much. This is not about lecturing. I'm making it easy. The whole point of the journey, the whole point of this is that we don't speak about how hard it is to be successful anymore. So many of us are so caught up and focused on do it like Donny, like he kept saying so much where I was like, everybody right now is doing it like I could do it alone. Oh, I don't need nobody. Like it's just me, you understand? And it's not just you because if we all have this thinking, that's why the people that do it individually go through the rat race and you keep going in circles and circles versus people at the top who we look up to and we inspire. When we listen to them, we actually realize that the name of the game is called collaboration. It's called how do I work with somebody in a way that doesn't take away from them, helps them still grow, but in such a beautiful way that it also brings me up. And all of a sudden, you know what? We're seeing eye to eye. And that's not called jealousy. That's called healthy competition. And that's called keeping circles of winners, That's staying with people that just stay competing and stay winning. And that's how you get there. But listen, I could go on and on and on and on. I'm just hyped up and I really love this process. So circling back to what I was saying, this is for me to make it easy for anybody else that's also trying to be successful. I don't know what career field you're trying to be successful in. For me, I have so many passions and interests, but I see where my purpose is. And this is exactly where it is. To make it easy for you, you don't have to come from a struggling home. You don't have to come from, oh, it was so hard growing up. You just need to understand that you're meant for more. And this is what this community is about. It's about people that have success. Success is something you're born with. It's a mindset. It's a way of being. You understand? And if you're not there, don't worry about it. I've got all of this. and you've got me to make sure that I bring you along because, hey, guys, you got to start thinking right, start tapping in. Anyways, make sure that you are turning on the notification bell, commenting, guys, the more you engage with this, the better it is for us because it helps spread our content and it also makes it easy for us. You guys, that's how you support us. That's how you give back, by making sure that you turn on the notification bell, making sure that you subscribe, making sure that you like, drop a little comment, anything. What are your thoughts on today's episode? Did you agree with a lot of what Donny was saying? Anyways, my name is Norman Ntlapo. It's been absolutely amazing. This is episode 1 of the journey. And the whole point of this is for people that know that they're going to make it. And this is just being brought to you by Theory C, hosted right here in the Inspiration Corner. Dr. Donny Fick, you were a real one, bro. I appreciate you so much. Next week, we're going to be sitting down with another amazing person. I thought maybe let's switch it up a little bit. Let's get a boss. Let's get a she boss. You understand? We're going to be sitting down with Keisha Tanov, so I can't wait for that one. And maybe I might just drop a snippet. So make sure that you're keeping up with our posting, our socials. Otherwise, I'm going to have all our social media here. Follow me also on my personal social media, which is Norman_Ntlapo on Instagram. And if you're trying to get me on TikTok, same thing, brother. If you're trying to get me on YouTube, it's Norman Ntlapo. Just search that and it should pop up. I'm going to be posting a lot more. So you're going to be seeing the space. Otherwise, welcome to the journey. This is the first step and you're here for the long ride. Brah!